TGIF, everybody. Hi, Brand, Mike, Mary, how are you? So we have the CPI here today, right?
Hey, Dale.
Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, you don't sound better.
I'm not.
Oh, God. Well, look,
Yeah.
go. I know you don't have a guest. I don't even know what you're doing awake here. I mean, I know you're here because you're a badass and you're here for
I'm
the team
trading.
and here for the people. But man, if you don't have a guest today, if you need to leave,
Okay.
let me take
I'm
over.
gonna hang out, but you could take over if you want.
Well, well,
I'm up.
let's start by why don't you go ahead and tell people what's on your mind? What are you seeing as we head into this Christmas holiday? I mean, I have to say that the markets have really,
You called this,
struggled.
Blake. Greg was looking for more strength. A lot of people were looking for more strength, and you said yesterday, what if we just fail from here? And you know what? Look at Apple. I
Yeah.
noticed that even Katie's talking about Apple now. It made a graveyard save down here at 130, and it might be able to recover. Maybe we still get a little strength into New Year's, but this is going to be big problems under 130. So the same scenario in S&Ps. I think if we start selling off because could have been because of Tepper
Yeah.
coming on CNBC saying he was
Mhm.
bearish. Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of a big deal. I mean, the data was obviously good, or
Yeah.
good. It was strong. Today's gonna be probably very similar.
We
With
diverged a little bit down here at this lower low.
yeah,
I would love to see us rally, Blake, into next week sometime
we might
or
get
the
it.
week after up here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to buy a VIX product because, I've been thinking about this. No one's gotten paid to be long volatility through a 1-year bear market, and everyone's saying the VIX is broken and it doesn't work. And, we almost broke out of this formation, and over 25, 30s a layup. And I think that eventually on this decline, if we're right about being this one last flush, we're even going to take out 35. So it's just for the market to prove to people who are short vol that what could be broken is their complacency shorting vol down here.
Ooh, I like it.
So those are my thoughts going into, those are my peace and love thoughts going into Christmas.
Well, look, I don't here. I'll take over
Go
so you
ahead.
don't have to continue on with the charts.
Uh,
And I'll tell you that the S&P, I still believe, the worst thing that could happen right now to the markets, the worst thing is just seeing the S&Ps roll over from this 3,900 level and not recover. I mean, everybody's looking for the Santa Claus rally, even going into next week. A lot of people are firm believers that the rally only comes between December 25th and the New Year's.
Isn't that what Welsh Jim thinks that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that actually believe that, and I've seen it emerge at different times throughout December, and I'm sure you have too. I mean, we've both been in the market. You've been in the market
seen a few Christmases.
but it's somewhere in December, and you have to be open to the idea that towards the end of the year, when the markets get illiquid, that is the perfect time for people to mark up portfolios, and it really is. And so I would think if today's data is weak, Dale, if today's data is weak, we are going to see, this rally. We're going to see us press into 3,900 and probably get towards 4,000 by year end.
Wow.
That's what I would think, because we don't have a lot of data coming out next week. I mean, next week is all
Deadsville.
Yeah, first of all, by the way, just so everybody knows, we will not be broadcasting on Monday. It is obviously it's a bank holiday. It's Christmas observance,
Extended.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, bank holidays,
3-day weekend.
3-day weekend, correct?
Yeah.
we do have like some unemployment claims in Chicago PMI next week, but really no data. I mean, so it is a perfect time for the markets to press. But just remember, today's data is also going to be the last impression people get going into the new year on the big data sets. So if we do have, like, let's say this PCE number comes in pretty strong, I wouldn't be surprised if we retest these lows. Here, let me just give you my
That'd be a 3
projection of a strong data. We'd head back to lows and then maybe bounce towards, in the next week. That's what I think.
Yeah. But
what do you
don't
think?
get FOMO about anything.
No, and
Still
I
wait for your
am
spots.
right. I think you got to be really careful, but you have to come in to the next couple of days, unless things get rocky in like Russia or Ukraine.
Blake, it's funny you brought that up. First of all, Putin went to Belarus. He sent his guy to have a face-to-face with Xi. Zelensky is giving a State of the Union address in Congress. There's a lot of actors moving around. Almost makes me feel like there's, something afoot.
Yeah. Well,
did you get that vibe at all?
Who I just had a conversation with yesterday? Was it maybe yesterday? The day before yesterday? I can't remember. The days get kind of blurry the last few days. I had a conversation with Ben Maldonado, which and he might actually be listening in right now. He's wonderful to listen to. We were just talking about this, and he was just talking about possible escalation in Russia. And I think that is one of the bigger risks going into next year.
Because the war is, it's been totally destructive to Ukraine. But if you think of it in terms of NATO adding a couple of members and us not having to intervene except send money and ammunition, and their success on the ground, it's all been good news pretty much, except for the people living through it. On the war front, maybe we're due to maybe the Patriot missile system's a red line for Putin. We wouldn't have done
let's hope that that's not the case, right? Yeah. But going back to talking about the next couple of days, I would be very careful being short risk. Yesterday probe down here might have been it. Today, if we get some, if the PCE data is strong and we get a push into the S&Ps a little bit lower towards the support, everybody in the ForexAnalytix community was knowing that I was looking for this horizontal support down here. I even tweeted about it yesterday on our public Twitter stream. So I'd be gladly buying risk down there just for the next few days. But I think you got to be very careful with the next few days. It's going to be illiquid. There's not a lot of data coming out. We'll be here after Tuesday, but it's going to be pretty slow, and you just don't want to short a slow market. Now there are those outliers, those headlines that could hit the market, and if something like that happens, then you have to take that into account and probably take action. But as long as it stays quiet, chances are we're going to be grinding higher in risk. So because, people don't have a reason to sell and they have a lot of reasons to be buying for year end, trying to mark everything up type of reasons. Stelios and Steve may be here. I'm not 100%.
I am here.
Hey,
Hello.
Steve. Hey, Stel. It's almost like the olden times, like when we first started ForexAnalytix. It's Dale, Steve, Stelios, and I
can't remember.
Yeah, and the good old crew. So guys, what are your thoughts going into today? PCE data coming into today. Any other views? And I got a couple other I need to throw out there with the currency market. But let's start with you, Steve. What are you thinking?
I was about to talk, but anyway, Steve,
go ahead.
Okay, forget it. All right, Stelios, what do you think?
Well, first of all, comment on what you talked about the Ukraine-Russia war and all that's happening. I actually have to disagree regarding how long this is going to last. It's been not over. It's been almost a year.
Almost
And
a year, yes.
the problem is that both sides are hurting from this. So the Russians are hurting from sanctions, obviously, and the West, especially Europe, are hurting from energy prices. So and now we're fully into winter, right? So this is definitely not good for either side. So in my humble opinion, I'm not a specialist, but I think they're gonna be trying to find some kind of solution that looks like both sides win. That each side can make it look like they're winning.
Don't you read these headlines right here?
Which headlines?
Risk of clash between Russia and US is high.
Yep, you escalate to de-escalate. We've seen this so many times. Right? I don't think.
Although, Stelio, I have to say that the West is hurting a lot more.
I agree.
Why? Simply because there is a big difference between Western countries and Russia. Putin isn't worried about getting re-elected, right? So it's not in his priorities to satisfy Russians, in the short term. And that gives him a big advantage to this, because you know how it is. Western politicians, when voting time comes, if things are expensive, people are going to penalize them for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I just think that with both sides having basically an interest to find a solution, they're going to, I think it's going to be sooner than analysts think. I mean, I could be wrong, but it feels like it's going to be a win-win for both sides, provided that they can tell their own people that, look, we got the better end of the deal.
Let's hope so.
So
and of course, no matter what happens, both sides are indeed going to present it like, we are the winning side in this negotiation, right? There's no question about that.
Well, okay. Well, let's move along from Russia. How do you guys feel about markets here ahead of PCE? I mean, this is the last good inflation look we get. This is the Fed's preferred method of gauging inflation. The markets are obviously trying to be bullish. They're trying to shake it all off, and the number that we have coming out today, I mean, we'll look at some estimates here. First and foremost, you can see it right here. Okay, here is not that. We do have Canadian GDP too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna say what I said the previous time, Blake, when we had in other inflation data. If for some reason inflation surprises to the upside, I think that's going to be a big catalyst for a move lower in equities and higher in the dollar. If data come as expected, I think we're not going to see much. But if we see something, again, that's not going to be positive, because the market, I think, is mostly hoping for better data. Right. Now, the question is, if we get better data, if we see PCE coming lower than expected, how much is the market going to react on it based on the recent Fed that we had, etc.? I think not necessarily very much during the holiday period that we are, unless it's a big downside surprise. So if it comes just slightly lower, we might see a little bit of a rebound, but I don't think it's going to be something groundbreaking.
Well, I'm going to take it into the conversation that we are having going into next week. Markets are looking for reasons to rally. So if you give them a reason, I think they're gonna take that and more with it. It was interesting. Oh shit! I was sorry. I just hit my microphone. I had by the way, one of the interviews that we have coming up on Trader Summit. And if you guys aren't checking out Trader Summit, I did a lot of interviews this week. I've been back-to-back interviews all week. I had one with, you can see Tavi Costa here. I did Mark Chandler just the other day, Mark Yusko. There's Ben Maldonado there. Another one coming up tomorrow, or today or tomorrow.
Later today.
Later today, thank you, will be Eric Basmajian from EPB Macro Research. And we were talking yesterday about inflation. And he gave, we talk on camera. We also talk off camera. Him and I talk quite a bit about, things. He's a great guy. And, he's one of our early supporters of the Trader Summit. So we discuss things all the time, and he really feels that inflation is going to come down quite markedly this next year, and he believes that's gonna happen, and he thinks it's going to be a little bit more aggressive than people believe, which I found interesting. He's got a lot of great comments about the U.S. housing market too.
Well, I've been saying that. Come on.
Well, I
Especially-
believe him. You, on the other hand, I don't believe, because you just pull shit out of your ass where he actually
Yeah.
looks at stuff.
especially if we do
I want to meet
get-
his marketing guy. That's
especially
who
if
I
we,
want to meet.
especially if we do
Oh,
get
he's good.
into
Yeah.
especially if we do get into
We need 'em.
a deeper recession, which I think is likely. Indeed, the inflation should see downward pressure, right? I think we all agree that inflation is going to be dropping in the upcoming year, but we should also not lose the focus, right? And the focus is that inflation, it shouldn't have happened, but was let to reach the point that it was 4 to 5 times the target. And from there to 2%, even if we see a steep decline, we have some time ahead. Even by the Fed's estimations, which, as we know, have always been extremely optimistic, they do not expect inflation to go back to 2% before 2025. And I also need to remind that when we measure inflation, we measure the rate of increase in prices. Even when inflation is going down, that means that prices are just
Not
appreciating.
going up as fast.
Exactly. But the
Yeah.
accumulated inflation that we
Right.
will have had during these 2-3 years of very high inflation, which it sounds unbelievable, but we might easily reach the part that the measured inflation will have been something like 20%
Yeah.
within 2.5 years. These price increases
They
are
don't
not
change.
coming back.
Yeah.
The Fed had introduced on the table the concept of symmetrical inflation when they wanted an excuse to push inflation a little bit higher. They've completely forgotten about this concept now that inflation was extremely high, because if they wanted to keep mentioning symmetrical inflation, that would mean that the Fed should pursue deflation for at least a couple of years, strong deflation for at least a couple of years, for inflation to average to 2%. But of course, they're not going to be doing that.
Okay, and so the thing is these prices that we see that are high are going to stay high, is what you're basically pointing out.
Yes, and people might be thinking, yeah, okay, but once the reading comes down, people will be a lot less stressed about it. That's not really true, because if you were striving to make ends meet post-COVID inflation,
Right.
and prices come up by 20% and your
You're way
purchasing power,
underwater.
you're way underwater. So if inflation comes down, yes,
You're still underwater.
yes, the accumulated pain that comes to you is being
Yeah.
reduced, but you're still underwater, right?
Ow.
And that will reflect to the economic. That will reflect to the economic activity.
And that's the
All right,
reason
all right.
why I disagree with the Fed on their forecast. I think we'll see 2% inflation way before 2025. I think we'll see 0% inflation way before 2025, simply because
Wow.
we've had the big rate of change to the upside.
Right.
Anyway, it's
Okay,
mathematics. It's mathematics.
Especially
yeah,
if we get a recession, it is likely, Stella. I would agree with you.
Okay,
So,
Blake.
well, let's go into a couple of, in my opinion, a couple of key markets here. When I looked at the euro this last week, I thought that was a false breakout. Well, when I say false breakout is we made a new high last week and then we failed above resistance. But The fact of the matter is the euro is holding up. I actually played it on the long side yesterday as we dipped below 105.90. I think I bought it and I sold it like, I bought it down here and I sold it up here. I've been playing this little range all week, just kind of like buying dips, selling rallies, blah, blah, blah. Going into this next week going into today, I didn't want to have any exposure, but I want to say that the euro is holding up pretty damn well. And if you look at like the measured move, this flag still measures that we see 107.75. So I am thinking about that because it hasn't sold off. If you're short the euro right now and you're frustrated, you're very frustrated. Or if you sold your euros because you were long and it just keeps grinding higher, you're frustrated because you're missing it, right? So the thing is if data is weak, I've got to imagine this euro, pushes.
Euro should be the first one to rally, probably.
Well, or if it's weak, you're going to see the dollar yen roll over, because remember the BOJ did. You could call it a pivot. They just fast forwarded what they were going to do a few months later, and people are still trying to reprice it all. So you could see the dollar yen back at 130. I think the euro could be trading at 107, 108. And the sterling, believe it or not, held channel support, and it didn't even get down to the 38% retracement. I know we're trading below the 200-day moving average right now, but still, I would be a little skeptical about
Blake. There is a huge trend line in the cable being tested exactly there. If you take a trend line from the lows of the cable, September 2022. From the spike low, from there, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's holding. So I guess as long as that holds up, and these breakout points hold, you can see an intraday. Yeah, I mean, why would you be short here? This is pretty good if it breaks, and we start breaking below like 1950. Which is a 38% retracement, then you're below that trend line that Steve just pointed out, and below this breakout point. So I think there's a limit. Let me just say it this way: there's a lot of support here. One of the big things that sticks out like a sore thumb to me, and Steve. This was moving yesterday, and it's moving right now. What?
He
said
Steve when you said
Steve sticks out like a sore thumb. He does. You can't take the guy anywhere. No, it's the dollar mex. This thing has been trading really heavy today, and if you listen to my trade-off show, we recorded a special show with Chris Weston and looking into 2023, and it's my favorite trade. Again, this next year is going to be selling dollar max at some point. I just think naturally that this pair is going to be moving into the teens over here. But the point I wanted to make here about the dollar max is that it is actually moving lower. We're seeing we are at the 50% retracement. I don't know if I'd get carried away trying to short it here. But if stocks rally and the data is weak, the dollar Mexican peso already has a head start. I mean, we could realistically by next week be trading down here at the low 19s, like 1920. So this is perfect for risk on. Risk on, you'll see emerging market currencies rally. So if I know a lot of people focus on the euro and the yen, and even the sterling, but the dollar mex could really be trading a lot lower. Sorry, just you guys hold on. I'm going to put it on mute. Go ahead, Steve Stelios.
I was going to say one thing about actually not the dollar mex, about inflation. Carry on. Would you want to say something? And I'll talk.
No, he couldn't speak. Okay.
The recent trend has been for inflation prints to be slightly below expectations. So I would estimate core PCE year on year.
It is likely.
We're expecting 4.7 year on year. I think 4.6, 4.5 maybe is the most likely outcome. And this is probably what the market wants. And also, let's not forget that year end, there's a lot of window dressing and year end marking. So this usually tends to give a nice little push higher. So in risk assets, so this is what the market wants. Now, will it get it? It's a different story.
Sorry, guys. I hate it when I can't speak in the morning.
It's okay, mate.
I'm like,
it's okay.
Quit
anyway,
smoking.
I know. Hold on.
Quit chewing nicotine gums.
looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Remember that from Airplane.
At least we can have fun here. So Dale, hey, what stocks would you be looking at in the event that the stock market actually bounces here? What do you think looks of value to you? Decent value.
Well, they really killed the semis. I don't like anything. Maybe the miners. Even when the gold and silver were down sharply, all the miners closed pretty good. They didn't. They recovered. You could just.
What's the
GDX?
SIL, GDX, yeah.
GDX,
SILJ.
They've stopped underperforming. Basically, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people that are pretty bullish gold going into next year. Actually, a lot of people are bullish gold going into next year, which to me as a currency trader makes a lot of sense, as I do think that the dollar is carving out a major top this year. But gold has been holding up. And I mean, you can, and speaking of which, let's talk about if the dollar if we do have weaker data, stocks come under pressure, dollar stays in this, descending channel, right? Look at gold, by the way. I mean, we're in this ascending channel. We're above the 200-day moving average. And as long as we stay above 1780, I think you have a green light to 1825, which, obviously we're carving out highs here, but you can make it towards 1850. Yeah. I mean, why not?
One more high in silver, up towards 2470. That there's a 3 drive developing there in a 4-hour. So
yeah, I mean, why couldn't you trade precious metals in a
I would
risk
short
environment?
silver. I'm looking to short silver up there around 2470-ish.
Why?
So move to 22. Just the technical formation. The 4-hour on silver.
Okay.
You have it on the daily, it'll be clearer on the 4. See that's why. And I think that we're going to see how the RSI is diverging. I'm looking for one more high. Well, maybe it'll get to your 78.6, but 80% bulls. If we do get a stock market sell-off, I don't think silver will be immune. I'm not looking for a crash, but back to 22, 21, I think is possible.
Stelios may cream his pants if we get down to 22.
Well, I sold some at 20, just under 24. I'm looking for a pullback towards the low 22s.
Yeah. See, so that's why.
All right. Well, hey,
his pants.
Hey guys, we got about 2 minutes before the data comes out, so we're going to start getting ready for it. I just want to say thank you guys for always being here with us every day. Not the team. I'm talking about the listeners.
Of course.
Thank
the
you
team
all.
Doesn't count.
You guys don't count, but these are the OGs here. Excuse me. And I just want to say, if you haven't checked out the trader funding program, make sure you do that, because if you want to be part of our community, included with the trader funding program, so this way you have trade ideas, check it out. And then this way you can trade our money. We have a guy that I'm going to be doing an interview with him next week. He tweeted, or not next week, I'm sorry, next month. He was moving from the United States over to Europe. So we postponed everything, but he's gone through our trader funding program twice. And he just qualified to trade $1 million of ours. So and is
it $1 million or $500,000? I think it's $500,000.
Was it $500,000? Oh,
I need to check. I think it was.
Yeah, we need to check that. I have to double check that. It might have been $500,000, but anyway, he passed. He got a huge payout. We paid him out a huge amount, and then he did it again to do another challenge. You guys are going to really enjoy his interview. I'll be interviewing him. I think we put a date on a calendar, which will be nice. So
20
check
seconds.
that out. Oh, 20 seconds. Okay, shoot. We're going to just look at what the dollar response is. And
Data coming out now.
Yeah. Here's the PCE. Let's focus on shoot. Sorry, guys.
Let's see what we get. We also have durable goods orders, which is a decently important piece of data. Let's see.
Cat GDP in line. Who cares?
Yes.
Who cares? Maybe the people in
Canadians.
Canada. Yeah. maybe the Canadians care. Maybe they're sleeping at the wheel.
We have a little bit of a delay in data, as it seems. Let's wait for it. More data coming out
durable
now.
Goods.
Durable goods
minus
orders,
2.1.
very bad print.
Yeah.
Previous was +1. This one is minus 2.1.
Yeah.
Let's see. We still don't have the PCE data.
Let it go, Paul.
Come on, give it to us.
Oh,
there
it
we
is.
go.
In line. In line.
No,
Yeah, in line.
US PCE price
4.7.
index stronger than expected. 5.5 versus 5.3, so stronger PCE. And the previous one was
Look
also
for,
revised. The previous one was also revised higher from 6 to 6.1.
Yeah, core PCE though expected 4.7 came in at 4.7. So
Yeah,
Watch S&Ps here.
S&Ps are
I
coming
wouldn't
back.
be surprised if S&Ps are like, well, screw it. Let's just get long.
anyhow, the PCE data is definitely not the market would hope for.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was in line, right? I mean, we're getting a little bit of a move lower. Let's see what happens. I would expect that you probably get a buy. You get buyers that'll step in soon.
Any ideas why? Gone?
I was going to say it might even be there at the open. So just watch the open versus trying to buy a pre-market. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Any idea why platinum's up 3.5% today? I haven't seen anything. Not anyway. Just wondering if they knew something.
Technically speaking, it responded to a very big level we were showing yesterday. But fundamentally speaking, I have no idea, tell you why. I was looking at it before. Indeed, it's the strongest performing metal today.
Real nice chart.
a lot of this is, and I think people have to come to the understanding with a lot of the moves that happen, especially over the next week, is a lot of stuff is just moving on,
Machine.
order flow. You're right.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Machine. I
What's
got
that?
that for Christmas one year. Mr. Machine.
yeah, Mr. Machine. So you don't want to stand in front of it. Just realize that there's a lot of moves that happen, and if you try to make sense of why it's happening, you're going to be knocking your head up against the wall. Let's see, the euros under a little bit of pressure. We're seeing the dollar firm up just a bit. I mean, look at the dollar yen's trying to break up towards 133
now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're making a bit of a move. So let's see if it's sustainable. And stocks, just pushed in a new trend lows. So just keep that in mind for the day. Let's take a look at the S&P here. We just, pushed out of this little range, but I would think that buyers step in down here. You get down into the 3,800 level, and you're probably going to see buyers step in, I would assume. So anyway, just some thoughts. You guys
Merry
have any
Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have any final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, I have one.
What have you
I'll
won?
have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue thinking about you. You'll be doing all right with your Christmas of white, but I'll have a blue, 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 blue Christmas. Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas,
he
everybody.
even serenaded us during having RSV. You guys got to appreciate that.
Indeed.
Couldn't get up there, but yeah, anyway.
Hey, by the way, Dale, I never asked your opinion. Did you see the Elvis movie?
No, I haven't seen it yet. Did you like it?
You would love it. Yeah, if you're an Elvis fan. I mean,
Yeah.
my father-in-law is a huge Elvis fan, and he
Yeah.
just absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. My whole family thought it was great. So, you know what I think is great? I think you all are great for being here for pre-Christmas trading, and all of you for listening in this whole year. Thank you very much. We will be here next week. We will be off on Monday since it's a bank and observed holiday for Christmas. But I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and safe holidays. If you're not celebrating Christmas, I just hope you have a wonderful time away, and hopefully you get to disengage and recharge a little bit. So thanks everybody for being here.
And I want to say Merry Christmas to my
Thank you
trading
all.
warrior
Merry Christmas.
brothers.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
You guys, Steve and Stell and Blake, my trading warrior brothers. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Dale.
Coach.
Happy
Christmas,
Hanukkah
Dave.
to you, actually, Dale.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Both. I'm bi. I do.
Yeah,
I'm
you're-
Ed.
that's-
I know you.
That's what Steve
I-
told me when he was visiting Arizona, and I'm like, no, man, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made that clear. He told me I'm not bi. I'm straight gay. That's what he told me. So I was like, okay,
Oh,
fine.
yeah, whatever. All
Yeah.
right, Steve. Hey,
All right.
Merry Christmas, Steve.
Thanks,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas,
Merry
Del,
Christmas, everybody.
and, or happy holidays. Dale.
we'll see you again
Tuesday.
on Tuesday. Yes, not Monday, Tuesday.
All right. And don't
Thank
just
you.
count your pips, count your blessings. Tell your family you love them. Say it out loud. They're not mind readers. Adios.